Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life, which is exactly what my next guest did. Joan DiGiovanni, who is a dear friend of mine, 7 years ago had a huge brain tumor. She was $100,000 in debt and decided to go get her real estate license. And today she lives a life that most people truly couldn't even imagine. She is selling luxury real estate all over the globe, in Rome, and all over the place. It's just amazing. I cannot wait for you to hear her story. It is such an inspirational story. Talk about feeling like the end is near. Guys, hang on. Tomorrow is another day. Please remember that whenever you think of Joan and you think tomorrow's another day, please enjoy as much as I did. Joan, thank you so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure, Kara. It's an honor to be invited.
Oh my gosh, girl, you are on fire. I've been watching you. And just full disclosure, Joan is truly one of the kindest, most loving, most down-to-earth, real people I've ever known.
Thank you.
And yet, you're playing in a world that is so huge.
Mm-hmm.
We have so much to talk about. So, give me just a little bit of background on how you got into the real estate world.
How I got into the real estate world was through a friend. I had been told for many, many years, you'd be great in real estate, you should be in real estate, I think you're really a realtor. And then finally I got to a situation. I was in a little bit of a tough spot, and I was over $100,000 in debt, and I was actually frankly battling a brain tumor. And a dear friend said, I'm so sure that you need to be in real estate, I'm going to put you through real estate school. And I thought to myself, Kara, if this man believes that I've got what it takes, what do I have to lose? Right now I am up against everything, hard times, financially, health-wise. And so I went for it, and I was 57 years old, and I was working during the day, all day, and going to school all night, and got my license at 57.
Ooh, there's so much to unpack there, you guys. Is this cool or what?
Yeah.
So thank you for being so vulnerable, first off. I mean, I'm sure it probably wasn't easy for you to get to the point where you could just say, I was battling a brain tumor. That's not just a mild little, I have a stub my toe.
No, and I would honestly have to credit my youngest daughter for that. My daughter Sarah, she is a life coach, and a few years ago, just 2 years ago, she brought it up to me, and she said, Mom, why are you so hesitant? Why do you never tell your truth and speak your story? Did you ever think that maybe other people could learn from your challenges and the things that you have rose above? And I embraced it. And honestly, for the first time, it was on my 65th birthday, I said it out loud to a group of people that were there with me celebrating. And the impact was amazing. And then from there, as you know, I teach classes for Keller Williams and facilitate panels. And I was asked to talk, and I brought it up. And the amount of people that were moved by it moved me. And so now I'm of that belief that, every story you don't know, it might be just what somebody needs to hear that day. So now I'm completely honest and open and vulnerable about the things that I've overcome.
That is so huge. And it's so crazy that we all, I don't know all, but women in general, I think, have a tendency to not share the hard things they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a book called Radical Remission I highly recommend if you're facing anything like that. It's a great book on natural healing. And it is one of the 10 things that all the people who had a radical remission did was they accepted social support. And you weren't before.
No. To put that in perspective, when I went to Keller Williams, that's where I decided to hang my license. At that point, the tumor was really raging, and I was in a lot of physical distress. I didn't want anybody to know. There was one person that I was a colleague, and she's the one who knew. And we had a code. I called her the tumor, Tina, the tiny little tumor. And sometimes it would cause me to slur my words, or I would have tremors in my hands, excuse me. Or sometimes I'd be speaking really loud and I wouldn't know it. So we had our own little dialogue that we did, and she would say, "Oh, Joan, by the way, Tina called," and she would go like this if I was talking too loud, and or if and then if I were slurring my words, she'd go like this, I just couldn't bring myself to let anyone know that I was, dealing with this. And when finally, what happened was it's a couple of exciting stories in one. My coach at the time, she told me I had to go to family reunion. Now, like I said, I was over $100,000 in debt. And it comes up on the screen, I'm like, family reunion, what is that? And I didn't realize it was the big Keller Williams conference. And it was $800. Well, for me, that was $100,000. And I said, oh, I can't do it. And she's like, well, if you really want to do this, you're going to find a way to do it. And so my friend said, you know what, Joan, you can stay in my room if you can find a way to take care of your ticket and your airline. So I decided, well, why not? I've got this much charged up. What's a few more? A couple hundred more. Well, while we were there, I was so grateful that I had taken the leap of faith again, because I learned so much. And in the course of a conversation, Kara, I was talking to a couple of women, and I said, I can't get over this. I can't get over these people. I can't get over the learning, the sharing. And couldn't you imagine what it would be like to be one of them on stage? And they turned around and they looked at me and said, oh, are you kidding me? I'm like, no, it just seems so cool. And they're like, Joan, you're going to be on that stage. And I said, what? And they said, it's just a matter of time. You will be on that stage. Honest to Pete. And as you know, this year I was asked by Keller Williams to speak on the International Real Estate Platform. So it was a full circle moment that just meant the world to me. And then on top of which, when I was there at the conference, I got the call that it was like the meter was up and the procedure had to be done. And they wanted to do it immediately. That part I never anticipated. So I was like, wait a minute, I have 3 children. They were older children, but still a single mom raising 3 kids by myself. And I said, I have to prepare them for this. So I went back and I had to tell Keller Williams what was going on. And I could not believe the outpouring, and I could not believe all the things that they did. They were like, why didn't you tell us? And I'm like, it's not something I want to talk about. And it's not going to be any big thing. And, if I had minimized it down to, like a bad hair day or something, which of course it wasn't. And it was a big challenge. And, but within was about 4 months, I was able to go back to work. And it was just, it was a battle. It still is a battle. It's something I still struggle with, some of the side effects. But, that's another learning lesson for me, and it was another leap of faith.
Gosh, there's a lot there. So you went from $100,000 in debt.
Yes.
To an income that most people couldn't truly wrap their head around. In what length of time?
I would say it was 7 years.
7 years, guys.
Yeah.
Gary
7
Keller
years.
says that you can be anywhere you want to be in 5 years. Anywhere you want to be. This woman did it with a brain tumor and $100K in the hole climbing out and not accepting help.
No.
But you did accept help from the friend who put you through school. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
That is very cool that you did that. Okay, so here you are, Now, you are an international realtor.
Yes.
How the heck do you do that? Do you have a license everywhere in the world?
No, I don't. The way I do it is a little unique. As you know, in real estate, you can refer a client to someone, and then there's typically a fee, a referral fee that you receive. And that is a way that anyone can do international real estate. And I really encourage people to do that. This world needs to get smaller and smaller. And the first question that I usually get asked is, well, what's the first thing you need to do? Well, I'm not trying to brag, but if you're with Keller Williams, you've already done the first thing, and one of the things that encouraged me, because it didn't happen overnight, it took me 5 years to get my first deal internationally. But Gary Keller answered the phone, Keller Williams International, for a very long time before he ever sold a deal. You don't have to have one sold to be able to say you do it, But the way I do it is different, Kara. I stay in the deal. I manage the deal. I do the oversee. It's like a project manager. I oversee the marketing. I oversee the agents, because obviously in Europe they don't have realtors, they have agents. And so I do it a little bit differently. So it's more hands-on, full-time.
Wow. Okay, what's one of the funnest ones you've done so far?
Oh my gosh. Fun is an interesting word with international real estate. I think it's one of the funnest ones is one I'm in the middle of right now. We just listed a property in Rome, and I named the property The Endless Summer, because it's on a mountainside. My client, it's multiple buildings. My client built a golf course. It's got a wine cellar. There are olive trees. They make their own olive oil, grow their own grapes for their wine. It's really, really fun. I'm really enjoying that. And also another opportunity that I'm in the midst of is a listing in Taormina, Sicily.
No.
And so it's a very, very incredible 3-story property that's built into a cliffside.
Oh.
And I'm super excited. I actually saw the property and met with the owner 3 years ago, and the timing wasn't right, and it appears like the timing is now right.
Wow.
So those are fun.
Oh my gosh, so fun. So you get to travel the world. How do you find clients all over the world?
The clients come to me, typically. Right now, the one I have in Rome is a referral from an agent in New York who specializes in penthouses. And this individual is a very dear friend. And so rather than take the time to go around and interview brokers for her friend, she knows me. We're in a luxury real estate group together. She knows the level of service that I deliver as well as my team. And so she just immediately gave them to me. So
nice.
That's how I got that. Now I have also, so far my highest sale has been in Europe. It was in Florence, and it was 9 million euro. And that was a buyer, and she found me through my website. I've had another buyer find me through Facebook. And I said, how did you find me? She said, oh, I just went to Facebook, looked at international real estate people, and I saw that you had just done one in Florence. And so we want to sell our house in Florence. And so they hired me.
Wow.
So
how exciting. And you have you have a license in New Mexico, and you're in the Albuquerque MLS and the Santa Fe MLS.
I work Albuquerque MLS, Santa Fe MLS, and Taos. I'm in TCAR.
Okay.
I work all 3 areas, yes.
Okay. Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah, it is. But from the very beginning of my career, I pretty much embraced doing multiple markets. And I'm really glad I did, because during COVID, it was a godsend. The Albuquerque people referred everybody, and the Santa Fe people referred everybody, because nobody really wanted to leave their house and deal with it. So it was really beneficial for me.
Yeah, it is amazing that when people shrink, you go in.
Yeah.
That's the, I'm here, I'm ready
Yeah.
to do this. All right, so let's bring it down to someone who, let's say they're in their first year or two, and they're in real estate, and the number one recommendation you have is move to Keller Williams. Why? Why is that? I agree wholeheartedly, but why?
You know, I can only speak from my own experience, and for me, doing especially the international real estate, it's so much easier when you deal with a company that knows how to do the transactions. It just is easier. I find that. The other thing is I appreciate, you know, I'm an old school Italian, and you don't forget the people that were there for you when you needed them, you know? And so that's a big deal for me. And I've found, and I can't say that this doesn't exist at other companies because I've never been anywhere but Keller Williams. But what I found when I was a new realtor is there were people around that were willing to share and pour into me. I just had to ask. And so that's a big part for me. The education and being able to ask people, hey, can I take you to lunch? And you know, get out my notebook and start taking notes, and that's kind of a big deal.
It's a huge deal. Keller Williams is a training and coaching company, and I have been at two of the other big, well-known, owned one for 9 years, and nothing compares. In my entire career, even before real estate, I've never experienced a culture like what Keller Williams provides. I was just talking, I was doing a class, a mastermind yesterday, and we had a brand new agent. She's leaving her industry, and she was pretty high up in her industry, and she's probably about the age you were, I would guess. Hope she doesn't see this in case I'm off. Sorry, I love you. But she's throwing all that, and she is diving in full bore. And I was telling her, I was trying to explain to her how great of a choice that she made. Because you are around people now that are saying, oh, that's great, what else? What else? How else can we get you to the next level? Instead of, you start talking about everything you've talked about here, and I go, must be nice. And that's what you get a lot of places, right? Instead of, oh my God, that's cool. How could I do that? How could I help you? How could you help me? That's what this culture is about.
Right.
So that's step one, if you want to go from the average realtor, I'm afraid, is selling like 8 homes a year.
Right.
But if you want to go from average to extraordinary, Keller Williams, step one. Step two?
Step two, I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget what really matters to me. To get something you've never had, you need to do something you've never done. And then that is something I've told myself from the beginning. Look, if you want this kind of a life, if you know, I live now in a lovely home in Santa Fe. I have a real estate portfolio of houses that I'm very, very proud of. And I did it in what I consider not a long period of time. But if you want to get that, you've got to have the guts and be ready, and don't be afraid of failing. I was 6 months and I couldn't sell a thing, but you just keep trying. You just get up and you keep trying. And then what's really important is when you make it, even when in the beginning, Kara, when you make it, when you're brand new, there's always someone who doesn't even have the success that you have yet. So what I say is, when you get something done, you reach back and you pull someone else forward. When you get one, you pull one. So I try to always do that, which is why I take the time to facilitate panels for the company, to bring different top brokers to the limelight so people can learn from them. That's how I feel about it. But people have got to have the mindset to celebrate the wins all the time. If you don't celebrate them, this job it'll beat you up.
Who preaches, sister?
Yeah.
So how do you celebrate? And what do you celebrate? I'm very specific on this because I know that some people only celebrate once they have a closing.
Oh, no.
And then there are other people who celebrate when they do what they're supposed to do and make their phone calls. Where do you fall on that?
I celebrate differently. Dr. Wayne Dyer taught, when you step out of bed in the morning, you say thank you 3 times. So I celebrate every day, first thing in the morning, by doing that. And that is really important. And then I will celebrate every win that comes my way. You know, and big or small, I'll find a way to celebrate it. Different ways are maybe I'll celebrate with friends, or I will. It's kind of fun. One of the first things I did is I challenged myself, and I said, I'll tell you what. The first luxury deal that I do, because I wanted to do a luxury deal so bad. The first luxury deal I do, I am getting myself a pair of Christian Louboutin pumps.
Woo!
And I did it. And so, right? Yeah, I said it out loud at a Bold, and then I did it. And Nick Patel and I have a very cute story around that. And so we go back and forth about that all the time. Because it inspired him to do that for himself. So
He's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, and again, telling your story, he heard that in one of my classes, and he's like, I'm going to do just like her. So there you go. That's how I celebrate.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. And we need so much more of that.
Yeah.
And that is the culture. It is not unusual at Keller Williams. It's unusual most places.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like, why are you helping me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, get used to it. Drink the Kool-Aid. We know you talk about us. Okay, so step 2, clarity, right? Step 1 is Keller Williams. Step 2 is work hard, do what you haven't done before.
Mm-hmm.
Have the guts. Where do you get the guts?
Where do you get the guts?
Yeah, where do you get the guts to just go so far out of your comfort zone?
Me personally?
Yes, you.
Me personally, I get the guts because I'm the daughter of immigrants from Italy. And when I think about the guts that my grandparents had, my grandfather came to the United States with papers, and it took him 3 years. He had to leave his wife and his children behind. And it took him 3 years to bring my grandma and my aunts and uncles over. I still get choked up talking about it. And they came through Ellis Island. And my father was the first American born. And as you know, we just had a Memorial Day. And one of my favorite photographs is my Uncle Jim, who was born in Sicily, in his uniform, and my dad in his uniform, and how they fought together in World War II side by side, both representing this country. Well, if you can do that, I don't know how I can ever have a bad day. You know, I was never left alone. You know, I never had to deal with any of those things. So that's where I get it from, because there were people in my life that cared enough about me. I wasn't born, I wasn't around, but they knew I would be here someday. And they did everything they could to make sure that I had a better life. So how dare I do any less than that with whatever life gives me, whatever life hands me? How dare I not rise to the occasion that my ancestors did? That's the way I look at it, Kara.
Gosh, thank you, Joan. Thank you so much for sharing so deeply from your heart, because I believe a lot of people might look at your life now and take a snapshot of your life now and think that they know who you are.
100%.
They don't know. They don't know. I have pictures. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that we got step 1, step 2. How many steps are there? To getting to you, to getting to be similar to you. You have to be yourself. You can't become her. However, guys, modeling is brilliant. Modeling is watching what she does, do exactly what she does, like exactly, until you get that down. Once you get that down, then you can add your own touches and bring in your personality. She has it figured out. If you do the exact stuff she does, you will get the exact same results.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many steps do we got?
Oh, geez, I'm not 100% sure. I think a huge step is you've got to be consistent and you've got to show up. Now, for me, consistency is maybe different than other brokers, By consistent, I don't mean that I sit at a desk from 9 to 11 every day and do lead gen. By consistent, it means I show up every day for work in whatever that looks like. I look for new clients. I make myself available. I help people with whatever they need. It has nothing to do with real estate. You know, Zig Ziglar said you can get anything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. So that's what it means for me. One of the things that I think happens to brokers sometimes is they get too complacent. And so they get excited, they get a big deal, and they know they're going to make a big chunk of money, and they forget that that may be the last check that they have for a very long time. Let's face it, every day you wake up, you're unemployed. You don't have a job.
Yeah.
You have to go out and find a new job every day. And if you don't plan for that and you don't play your cards right, it'll come back to bite you in the rear end, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you. Zig Ziglar was one of my very favorite people, and a more modern version might be The Go-Giver. So guys, go get that book, The Go-Giver, and there's even a Go-Giver for realtors, so that's kind of a cool thing.
Cool.
How important is continuous learning?
Oh, in my opinion, Kara, that could possibly be the most important thing. Because here's the other thing. This isn't an easy career. And it's really easy to get caught up in your own head. And if you don't, idle minds go to bad places. So if you don't keep learning and you don't listen to a podcast or read a book or attend classes, keep your mind busy with positive input, I'm the type of person that I'll find things to think about that are not productive, you know. Oh my gosh, why didn't I hear back? Why didn't I, you know? No, you have to stay away from that.
So be intentional with your thought life.
Yes, very much so.
It's everything.
Oh, 100%.
Okay. So, in that vein, what books, what podcasts do you recommend for our listeners?
I love Phil Jones, Exactly What to Say. I have the book. I listen to him. I listen to Mel Robbins a lot. She is really good, and she has great people on. Because of my challenges with my brain, I listen to Jim Quick with Quick Brain, and he's got some really great hacks for anyone. You don't have to have had a brain injury. Those are the ones that I really like. Right now I'm also reading Giftology and the Ritz-Carlton's 5 Standards of Excellence. Those are the main ones for me.
Okay, guys, take some notes on those. Those are some great deals. So is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you? What else do you have on that note card?
My note card, I think I had said that I do think it's important to remember between goals and achievement is discipline and consistency. You know, you have those goals, but it's got to be consistent. You have to really, have that. And that was the only other thing I had on there.
Okay, that was important. All right, and so the last question that I ask everybody, because you're on Think Your Way to an Epic Life, what tips do you have for our folks to think their way to their own epic life? And it might not look anything like Jones, but how does somebody get from where they are to where they desire to be?
You have to remember, why not you? That's what I told myself over and over again. 5 years is how long I went trying to get into international real estate. And I kept telling myself, well, why not me? I have imposter syndrome, fears, just like everyone else. We all do. You walk in a room and you wonder, should I be here? Why shouldn't I be here? Why not me? And then when I look at it, when it comes to luxury real estate, when it comes to international real estate, basically it's about not waiting for your seat at the table, Carol. It's about knowing that you belong at that table and making sure everybody else knows it too. And let them pick up the tab. That's what I always say.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Joan, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with our folks.
I loved being here with you. I'm just so honored that you wanted to talk to me.
Oh my gosh, I always want to talk
But
to you.
hey, why not me, right?
Yes, that's what we're talking about. Thank you guys. If you would like to connect with Joan, all of her information is in the show notes below. And if you actually are a little shy and you don't quite want to call her up and ask her a direct question, you can put questions into YouTube. That's where she can answer, I can answer. I'll let her know if you write something and she can answer you directly.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
And I am telling you, she'll be happy to. She genuinely wants to give a hand up to anyone she can, so do not pass this opportunity up. If she has spoken to your heart, and I know she has, and just a 10-minute phone call with her would make a world of difference to you, give her a call.
But you're paying for the coffee.
Deal? Yeah? Thank you, Joan.
Thanks.